Hey, my name is Pax, and I just wanted to give you some spoiler-free tips for this wonderful game called Project Silverfish. Now, you can see this is beta 2.4. We're not even at 1.0 yet, so a lot of this stuff could change in the future for all I know. But for right now, I would say this game is absolutely worth your money. It is absolutely worth playing, even though it is unfinished and you can't technically complete it. It's really fun if you like this kind of game. It is a beautiful time, and here are some things that I just wish I knew about the game before I started. So this first tip is about character creation, and I think, you know, if there's anything you watch, this and the final tip of the video are probably the most important things you should know about. So if you make a custom character and you get to this page where you get to roll attributes, you can randomize them, but, you know, if you want to set custom, which I think is, you know, fun and worth doing, you have all these different things you can pick from. You have positives and you have negatives. You have to balance it out to 0 or below before you can proceed, and you can only pick 5 total, and some of them can stack. And the really important thing to keep in mind when it comes to this is that not all traits are made equally. And I'm just going to tell you right now, what's not worth it? Thin skin. This is terrible. Don't bother. It's really not worth. You can die so quick in this game, and if you're playing permadeath, you know, that's just the last thing you need. Health items being less effective is kind of manageable. Hunger rate being increased is kind of manageable. I find it really annoying. I would say the best negative trait you can take to balance out your shit is to take Skinflint here. It's a -2 and it can stack. So if you want to get something like steady aim, which is decent, speed boost, which is great, and confident lie, which is actually a really powerful perk because it lets you trade with NPCs that otherwise would be hostile to you. Well, now I have 4 points to balance out, and I only have 2 traits left. Taking 2 points of Skinflint is like mad good. At the current recording of this video, this is like, I think, the dump stat, if you could call it that. Taking psychic damage when you make a purchase greater than $1,000 is something that will not happen very often. I mean, every time you go shopping, I suppose it could happen, but the damage is negligible and it heals over time automatically. It's not a big deal at all. It's pretty tame. I think if they want to balance this trait out, they need to either make it only give you -1 instead of -2, or they need to increase the damage, or change something about mental fatigue, or something. But as of right now, this is the thing to dump at character creation. So this next tip, we're just gonna run right through them all. So my character is a little hungry right now. I need to get some food. I'm gonna trade at this trading post right here. Now this trading post in particular, you know, using money is not really the best option, but I want to point out what these little arrows mean when you were trading with people. So if you notice this arrow next to the price, it's like a little triangle pointing up, and then on this one there's a little triangle pointing down, and then right here there's 2 going up, there's 3 going up, so on and so forth. You can have them going up, you can have them going down from 1 to 3, or none at all. This basically just indicates that to this NPC, like, up arrow mean they value it more, down arrow mean they value it less. So if I wanted to trade these med kits for $800 worth of stuff, I'm in pretty good shape because they like the med kits. They got 2 up arrows on them, so I really want these beans. I'm basically making a huge overpriced trade here, which is why this meter also goes up. This is how much, like, reputation you're getting from the trade. If I were to take away my offer, I'm getting negative reputation. I'm robbing this person, basically, and, you know, they won't even let me consider that option. So, but then as soon as I, you know, overbet, and if I, you know, sort of take stuff away, well, now I can't even make the trade because it's not enough in value to match. But also I'm losing a lot more reputation. So if I add 2 more to this, now they're like, okay, this is a pretty good deal. I can take 3 medkits for, you know, giving you these 10 cans of beans. And so I'm just going to go ahead and make that for the sake of this video. So that's just one thing to know about how bartering works. And you know, you can barter with like all sorts of NPCs all around, and they all value things usually kind of differently. I think the different factions tend to have some things in common in terms of what they value and what they don't. I could be wrong about that. And that could all be subject to change anyway. All right, so another thing worth knowing is paranoia, or just mental fatigue, I think is what it's called. There's an invisible meter in the game that increases whenever you take psychic damage or do certain actions, and you'll become paranoid, and things will happen when you're paranoid. I'm not going to tell you what things will happen when you're paranoid, but things will happen, and you probably don't want them to happen. So how do you know if you're paranoid if this meter is invisible? It's very simple. If you hit your inventory, look at how my dude is just kind of like looking around, all nervous. That means you have quite a bit of mental fatigue. Now you can decrease this by sleeping, and I think eating too kind of gets rid of it. But you can also pop a perfume. I don't know why you drink it, but it is quite funny when you do. And now look, he's chilling. He's like back to his old self. He's living his life. You can also drink whiskey. Past whiskey. That will also clear your mental fatigue. So just like real life, if you're mentally fatigued, you should drink or get a little saucy and boost your confidence by smelling nice. So something else to keep in mind is when you right click on something in your inventory, you have the option to inspect. This will sometimes tell you things you otherwise would have no way of knowing. So if you look in the bottom left, it says weird luck. So this hat, when you're wearing it, gives you the weird luck trait. But it doesn't say that right here. So anytime you get something new, it's worth just inspecting to see if there's any extra information you can glean about it. Another thing about inventory items is there's a lot of like kind of useless things that you're going to find. Some of these you can use in like crafting and recipes and stuff. But generally speaking, if it says it's worth selling, then you can usually find one specific NPC in the world to trade it to for more than what it is listed here. And so it's definitely in your best interest to hold on to these things if you're not hurting for the cash, so that you can find out later which NPCs should you bring these things to trade them to effectively. Oh, not this asshole. And then one more thing about just this screen and your character in general, kinetic resistance. So if you look at the top right, with this armor and helmet, I have 55 kinetic resistance. That's incredibly important to have, because generally speaking, the thing that's going to kill you the most in this game is people with guns shooting at you, but kinetic resistance is basically bullet resistance. And so, if you're tired of getting killed, get some kinetic resistance in your armor. Definitely rush that as soon as you're able to. So keep a lookout for armor from the beginning of the game with good kinetic resistance. I don't care how stealthy you want to play, it is worth having, because generally speaking, even without stealth perks, you can kind of stealth around pretty easy in this game, even if you're making extra noise. So I definitely highly recommend prioritizing kinetic resistance, and there are definitely other armors that give you different resistances that maybe you want for certain areas of the game, that you can definitely bring with you to those areas as well. All right, so another important thing to keep in mind is that the crowbar is an incredibly important item that you should always have on you. So oftentimes you'll like see lockers in a row like this, and you can open some but not all, and so you'll think, oh, I gotta like burn through my lockpicks to get these things open to see what's inside. No, you just use a crowbar and you point at the locked thing with your cursor, and then you press the C button on your keyboard. You will be able to open them without any lockpick expenditure at all. So that's just really important to know. You can't open every door with this method, but you can open up most doors and armories with them as well. So really, really important tool. If you're going to keep any melee on you, definitely keep a crowbar, although I would recommend having like a proper dedicated melee. I have the stone baton right now. It's really good. But yeah, crowbar, hugely important item. Always have a crowbar with you. All right, so this next tip has to do with target identification. So it is very important to make sure that you know who you're about to kill in this game, because if you didn't know, there's different factions, and killing members of that faction will lose rep and You don't want that if you don't want those people to shoot you on sight. So a very easy way to avoid this problem, if you can get ahead of it, is to take out your binoculars and hit the R button when you aim at someone and you see it tags them as Revolution. I'm homies with the Revolution. We can trade with them. We're cool. We're chill like that. So I know, okay, if I'm trying to snipe at some fools, I'm not sure if they're friendly or not, I can just pop this, see what they are, and then make the right decision from there. One other thing to keep in mind about this game is that getting around places often might require you to find a key or a code or a computer of some kind to get past something like a locked door. Now, of course, you have lockpicks, but not every door can be lockpicked very efficiently or even at all, and not even all of them can be pried open with your crowbar. So when you find yourself in this situation, you don't know where the key is, and you just want to get to the other side. What do? Well, this is where you have to remember that moving stuff around is like really good. Now, in this particular situation, it's not like a great example of like how useful that could be here, but like you can imagine if I had a bunch of boxes, I could stack them on top of each other to vault over that. But also, you know, the game already does that for you in this particular area. This is literally the first area of the game, so I'm not really spoiling much here. But just to keep that in mind, that, you know, if you ever find yourself unable to get into a place that you need to go to, usually there's a way around if you can be crafty enough by, you know, finding some things to stack up, or just by doing a little bit of parkour. Granted, the game is not finished. There's a lot of areas where you could absolutely glitch out of bounds if you're not careful, so just keep that in mind. It's not the end of the world if it happens, but it can happen. Another thing about getting through certain locks and stuff is that, you know, in addition to the crowbar being a powerful tool, the fire axe can destroy most wooden doors you come across. It's also a very powerful melee weapon in general when you use the heavy attack. So, you know, always worth having one around if you can manage the extra carry capacity and you don't want to have to, like, you know, lockpick or get around something, or, you know, use your crowbar for whatever reason. But you should always have your crowbar. I can't really emphasize that enough. You should always have a crowbar on you at all times. This final tip is simultaneously the most important thing you could learn from any video about this game, and also I can't tell you why exactly, and I can't really give you any details because the spoilers are just insane, and it's way too good for me to be specific about. If people want to spoil it in the comments, I can't stop you. I'm not going to bother deleting all of those all the time because I'm not your freaking dad, but so I would say, you know, if you want to definitely avoid spoilers, don't look at the comments. But these next two tips, these final two tips, if you take anything from this video, take these final two tips. And I'm going to put this text on the screen to be very clear. If you imbibe 3 times, never, ever, ever, ever find out what is below. Don't bother. It's not worth it. If you want to be curious and ignore this advice, understand that you are almost guaranteed to ruin your character forever, permanently. I'm not going to tell you how. It's just too funny, but, like, don't do it. If you don't want your character, if you don't want to spend 50 hours on a character just to have them, like, just to never want to play them again. I mean, look, this is my first character who I stopped playing when I realized how bad some of the negative traits I took was. This is my main character that I put a shit ton of hours into. I don't play him anymore. I played him for the purposes of making these tips. I don't play him anymore because I did not know this before I did it, and this is my 9 lives character. So, if you imbibe 3 times, never find out what's below. Just don't do it. And the final tip, and I was really lucky that this didn't end up applying to me, but it would have if I wasn't so lucky. This final tip is in the same exact vein. Never, ever, ever imbibe more than 3 times unless you have an escape plan. an exit strategy, if you will. And I'm not going to tell you what that means. And if you get to a point where you understand what imbibing means, but you don't know what I mean by escape plan, then I highly, highly recommend you don't bother sating your curiosity, because you will run the risk of ruining your character forever. Worse than I did to my character, actually. Like, significantly worse than I did. And I'm not going to say any more than that. You've been warned. Feel free to not listen to me and suffer the consequences. I look forward to hearing about it if you do. And anyway, I hope this video was helpful, and if it wasn't, you make a better one. See ya.